Not every cruiser is built to last, and by 2026, riders are starting to see exactly which ones were. Some bikes are designed to impress in the showroom. Others are built to handle years of real miles without turning into a problem. The difference does not show up on day one. It shows up later, when one bike keeps running and the other starts costing time and money. In this video, we're going through 15 cruisers that have proven they can go the distance. Machines that do not just look right, they hold up when it matters. Watch this all the way through, because the last few define what real reliability looks like. Number 15. Yamaha V-Star 250. It does not roar into a parking lot or shake the ground at idle, yet it keeps showing up year after year, while bigger machines quietly disappear. That alone earns respect among riders who measure value in miles, not noise. This kind of small cruiser rarely gets bragged about, but it keeps earning something. Better, trust that builds slowly over time. Owners who keep one around usually have a reason. It becomes the bike that always starts. The one you lend without worry. The one that never turns into a project sitting under a cover. There is a certain honesty in a machine that does not pretend to be more than it is. That honesty is what keeps it alive in garages where flashier bikes come and go. Experienced riders often notice something younger buyers miss. Simpler machines tend to survive longer because they are ridden more and feared less. When a bike feels easy, it stays in rotation. When it stays in rotation, it stays healthy. That quiet cycle is what gives this little cruiser its reputation. Small and simple, 249 cubic centimeters, engine front, disc, and rear drum brakes, dual shocks, 324-pound wet weight, 27-inch seat height, $4,799 price. Larger machines step in next, bringing more muscle without giving up that same stubborn reliability. Number 14. Kawasaki Eliminator 450. Not every reliable cruiser comes from old steel and slow revs. Some earn their place by proving that modern design can still respect the basics that kept older machines alive for decades. This one steps into that space carefully, offering something newer without drifting too far from what riders already trust. It carries a lighter feel than traditional cruisers, and that matters more than most people admit. Heavy bikes can wear a rider down over time, especially in traffic, tight turns, or long days when fatigue starts creeping in. A machine that stays manageable invites more riding, and more riding keeps everything working the way it should. There is also a quiet confidence in the way this bike delivers its power. It does not feel strained or overworked, which is often where long-term problems begin. Instead, it operates in a range that feels natural, like it was built to handle everyday miles without asking for constant attention. Riders who spend time on it usually come away with the same thought. It feels easy to live with. That may not sound impressive at first, but over years of ownership, ease becomes everything. Fewer headaches, fewer surprises, and more time actually riding instead of fixing. Lightweight modern cruiser, 451 cubic centimeters, engine front and rear. Disc brakes, 388-pound wet weight. 28.9-inch seat height, $6,649 price. A more established bike comes into focus next, bringing years of proven durability with it. If you care about riding something that actually lasts, hit, like, subscribe, and share your experience below. Real riders know which machines hold up, and your input helps others avoid costly mistakes and find cruisers built for the long road ahead. Number 13. Kawasaki Vulcan S. Some machines earn trust the hard way by proving themselves, long before they ever wear cruiser styling. That is exactly what is happening here. Instead of chasing tradition, this design leans on a power plant that has already survived years of real-world riding in other forms. That background matters more than most riders realize. When an engine has already been pushed, tested, and refined across thousands of miles and different riding conditions, it brings a kind of confidence you cannot fake. It is not about guesswork. It is about knowing what holds up when the miles start stacking. The feel on the road reflects that history. It pulls clean, responds quickly, and never seems strained, even when pushed a little harder than a typical cruiser. That alone separates it from machines that rely only on low-end torque and hope for the best over time. There is also a practical side that becomes more important with age. Adjustable ergonomics, manageable weight, and a balanced riding position make it easier to live with day after day. A bike that fits well gets ridden more, and a bike that gets ridden more tends to stay healthier over the long haul. Proven middleweight platform, 649 cubic centimeters engine front and rear, disc brakes, 498-pound wet weight, 27.8-inch seat height, $7,649 price. A more traditional approach comes into view next, bringing familiarity and long-term comfort with it. Number 12. Honda Rebel 500. There is a certain kind of machine that rarely gets praised in loud conversations, yet quietly stays in garages long after more exciting bikes have been traded away. It is not built around attention. It is built around staying power, the kind that shows up every morning without hesitation. Riders who have spent decades around motorcycles tend to recognize this pattern quickly. A bike that feels easy from day one often becomes the one that never leaves. It asks less from the rider, which means it gets used. More use keeps everything moving, and that steady rhythm is what keeps it alive over time. The riding experience leans toward calm rather than aggressive. That may not sound impressive at first, but calm machines age better. They are not constantly pushed to their limits, and that reduces the kind of wear that turns into expensive problems later. It is a simple idea, but it holds true across generations of reliable motorcycles. There is also a practical comfort that becomes more important with experience. Low seat height, manageable weight, and predictable handling remove stress from everyday riding. When a bike fits well, it stops feeling like a machine and starts feeling like something you rely on without thinking about it. Low and approachable, 471 cubic centimeters engine front and rear disc, brakes, 408-pound wet weight, 27.2-inch seat height, $6,799 price. A longer standing platform comes into view next, bringing decades of steady refinement. Number 11. Suzuki Boulevard C50. Some motorcycles never chase attention, yet they stay on the road longer than machines built to impress. This is one of those quiet survivors. It does not rely on trends, and it does not try to reinvent the idea of a cruiser. Instead, it holds steady year after year, with a design that favors durability over flash. Riders who spend real time in the saddle often notice something about bikes like this. They do not wear you down. The riding position stays natural. The power comes in low and steady, and the whole machine feels settled instead of demanding. That matters more as the miles add up and the years go by. There is also a kind of mechanical confidence here that only comes from long production history. When a platform stays largely the same for years, problems get worked out, weak points get addressed, and what remains is something dependable. That steady refinement is what gives this bike its reputation among experienced owners. Maintenance plays a role as well. A shaft drive removes one of the most common daily concerns, and that simplicity adds up over time. Less adjustment, fewer parts to monitor, and fewer chances for neglect to turn into something serious. Classic shaft-driven cruiser, 805 cubic centimeters. Engine front, disc, and rear drum brakes, 611-pound wet weight, 27.6-inch seat height, $9,159 price. Weight and presence begin to increase from here, bringing a different kind of long-term appeal. Number 10. Yamaha Bolt R-Spec. Strip away the chrome, the extra panels, and the distractions, and what remains is what really matters. That is the idea behind this machine. It does not try to impress with size or complexity. Instead, it leans into a raw, straightforward design that puts the focus back on the ride itself. There is something familiar about the way it behaves on the road. The power comes in low and steady, the response feels direct, and the whole bike carries a kind of mechanical honesty that older riders tend to trust. It does not hide behind electronics or over-engineering. What you feel is what you get, and that clarity becomes more valuable with time. A simpler machine often means fewer things to go wrong, and that shows up in ownership. Riders who keep one for years usually talk about the same thing. It just keeps going. There is less to adjust, less to monitor, and less that turns into a surprise repair when you least expect it. The riding position also plays its part. Low, balanced, and predictable, it makes everyday use feel natural instead of demanding. When a bike feels right from the start, it tends to stay in use, and that steady use keeps everything working as it should. Stripped back, V-twin 942 cubic centimeters engine front and rear disc, brakes 542 pound, wet weight 27.2 inch seat height, $8,999 price. A more dramatic silhouette appears ahead, bringing custom style without the usual trade-offs. Number 9. Honda Fury. Long forks and stretched lines usually come with a warning. Most bikes built to look this dramatic end up living hard lives or short ones. That is what makes this machine different. It carries that custom silhouette without bringing along the usual baggage that comes with it. There is a certain kind of satisfaction in owning something that stands out but still behaves like a real motorcycle. Riders who have been around long enough know how rare that balance is. A lot of custom-styled bikes demand constant attention, whether it is tuning, fixing, or simply dealing with quirks. This one avoids that trap by keeping its foundation grounded in proven engineering. Out on the road, the experience feels more stable than the appearance suggests. It tracks straight, delivers power in a controlled way, and does not fight the rider. That matters when a bike is meant to be used, not just shown. When something looks extreme but rides predictably, it builds a kind of trust that grows over time. There is also a pride factor that comes with it. You are not giving up personality to gain reliability. You are getting both in a package that does not punish you later. That combination is what keeps this bike relevant long after many trend-driven designs fade away. Long and stretched silhouette, 1,312 cubic centimeters engine front and rear, disc brakes with anti-lock braking system, 675 pound wet weight, 26.7 inch seat height, $11,499 price. A more balanced, traditional cruiser steps forward next, offering a different kind of long-term confidence. Number 8. Kawasaki Vulcan 900 Classic. Some bikes earn their reputation without ever making a scene. They do not dominate headlines, and they are rarely the loudest machine at a stoplight. Yet over time, they build something more valuable than attention. They build trust that stays intact year after year. This is the kind of cruiser riders settle into without second-guessing their decision. It feels balanced from the start, not too heavy, not too light, not too aggressive, and not too soft. That middle ground is often where long-term ownership succeeds, because nothing feels pushed beyond what it was built to handle. There is also a quiet durability in the way it delivers power. It does not chase high numbers or sharp response. Instead, it stays consistent, which is exactly what keeps internal parts from wearing out early. Machines that live in that steady range tend to last longer, and experienced riders recognize that pattern. Comfort plays a role as well. A riding position that feels natural means longer days in the saddle, without strain. When a bike remains comfortable, it continues to be used, and regular use is one of the simplest ways to keep a machine reliable over time. Balanced everyday cruiser, 903 cubic centimeters engine, front and rear disc brakes, 619 pound. Wet weight, 26.8 inch seat height, $9,599 price. American heritage begins to enter the picture ahead, adding another layer of expectation. Number 7. Indian Scout 60 Classic. There was a time when American cruisers came with a trade-off. You got the look and the name, but you also signed up for quirks, heat, or long-term headaches. That reputation stuck for years. What changed here is not just the badge, but the way the machine behaves once the miles start stacking. This bike feels different from the moment it settles into its rhythm. It is smoother than many expect, quicker than most traditional cruisers, and far more predictable than older designs carrying similar heritage weight. That matters to riders who want American character without constantly wondering what will need attention next. It also holds a balance that is easy to overlook at first. The size feels manageable, the power delivery stays controlled, and the overall experience does not punish the rider during long days. When something feels this approachable, it naturally stays in use. And steady use is what keeps a machine reliable over time. There is pride in the way it presents itself as well. It carries the right silhouette, the right stance, and enough presence to feel meaningful without turning into something fragile. That combination is not easy to get right, yet it works here in a way that keeps owners satisfied long after the first ride. Compact American Twin 999 cubic centimeters engine front and rear disc brakes, 551-pound wet weight, 25.7-inch seat height, $11,999 price. A stronger push toward traditional torque arrives ahead, bringing a different kind of American feel. If you value straight answers about which bikes truly last, subscribe now. This channel is built for riders who want real information, not marketing talk, and there is a lot more coming that could change what you choose to ride next. Number 6. Harley-Davidson Street, Bob. There is a point where a machine stops pretending and starts delivering what riders actually asked for years ago. No extra weight, no unnecessary complexity, just a solid frame and a motor that finally feels like it belongs there. That shift is what gives this bike its place among machines that hold up over time. The feel on the road is direct, in a way older riders recognize immediately. It pulls hard when asked, settles down when cruising, and does not feel overworked even under pressure. That balance matters because engines that stay within a comfortable range tend to last longer, especially when they are not loaded down with excess equipment. There is also something to be said for simplicity done right. This design strips away distractions without cutting into what makes a cruiser worth owning. Fewer components mean fewer problems, and that becomes clear over years of ownership rather than the first ride. Stripped Milwaukee 8 power a 1923 cubic centimeters engine front and rear disc brakes, 646-pound wet weight, 25.8-inch, seat height, $14,999 price. A heavier machine steps forward next, bringing brute force with surprising durability. Number 5. Suzuki Boulevard M 109R. Some machines are built to impress for a season. Others are built to take whatever comes their way and keep moving without complaint. This one leans heavily into the second category, even if its appearance suggests something far more aggressive. There is no hiding the size or the intent behind it. Wide stance, heavy presence, and a motor that feels like it was designed to move more than just its own weight. Yet, what stands out over time is not just the power, but how well it holds together despite that power. Riders who have spent years around high-output cruisers usually expect trade-offs. More performance often means more wear, more maintenance, and more potential problems down the road. That expectation is exactly what this bike quietly pushes against. It delivers strong torque without turning into a constant project. The riding experience reflects that strength. It feels planted, stable, and confident, even when pushed harder than most cruisers are meant to be. That kind of stability builds trust, especially over long ownership periods where weaker machines start to show their limits. Heavyweight muscle machine, 1,783 cubic centimeters engine front and rear, disc brakes, 764-pound wet weight, 27.8-inch seat height, $15,799 price. Balance begins to replace brute force ahead, shifting the focus toward refinement. Number 4. Indian Scout Classic. There is a difference between a motorcycle that feels fast for a moment and one that stays satisfying long after the first ride. This machine lands firmly in the second category. It carries modern performance, yet it does not sacrifice the kind of stability that keeps a bike enjoyable over time. The way it delivers power is part of that appeal. Strong when asked, smooth when cruising, and never feeling like it is being pushed beyond its limits. That balance is what separates a long-term keeper from something that wears thin after a season. Riders who have spent years around different platforms usually notice that difference quickly. It also manages to hold on to a sense of identity without becoming difficult to live with. Some cruisers lean so heavily into tradition that they bring along the same old problems. Others chase modern performance and lose the character that made them appealing in the first place. This one finds a middle ground that feels both familiar and practical. Modern American performance. 1,250 cubic centimeters engine front and rear disc brakes. 555-pound wet weight. 25.7-inch seat height. $13,999 price. Long-distance strength becomes the focus from here, shifting toward machines built for serious mileage. Number 3. Harley-Davidson Heritage Classic. Long miles have a way of exposing weak machines. Comfort fades, small issues grow, and what once felt impressive starts wearing thin. The bikes that survive that test are the ones built with purpose, not just appearance. That is where this one earns its place. There is a weight to it, both physically and in what it represents. It is not trying to be light or minimal. Instead, it leans into the idea of carrying a rider across real distance without cutting corners. That focus changes how the machine feels from the moment it starts moving. The power delivery stays steady and controlled, which is exactly what long-distance riding demands. It does not need to prove anything at high revs. It works best in the range where most riders actually spend their time, and that is part of what keeps it reliable over years instead of months. Comfort also plays a major role. The seating position, suspension, and overall layout are built to reduce fatigue, not create it. When a bike remains comfortable for hours at a time, it stays in use, and continued use keeps everything functioning as it should. Long-distance cruiser, 1,917 cubic centimeters, engine front and rear, disc brakes, 719-pound wet weight, 26.3-inch seat height, $19,999 price. A lighter, more modern approach to long-term riding begins to take shape just ahead. Number 2. Honda Rebel. 1100. Not every rider wants to wrestle a heavy machine just to enjoy a long ride. There is a point where comfort, control, and confidence start to matter more than size alone. This is where a newer approach begins to prove itself in ways that older designs sometimes struggle to match. The way this bike carries its weight is part of that difference. It feels lighter than expected, easier to handle at low speeds, and far less tiring over a full day in the saddle. That matters to riders who still want distance, but without the strain that comes with larger touring machines. Its power delivery also reflects a more modern mindset. Strong when needed, but smooth and controlled rather than overwhelming. That kind of balance reduces stress on both the rider and the machine, which is often what separates a short-term thrill from long-term satisfaction. There is also a practical side that becomes clear over time. A bike that feels easy to manage gets ridden more often. More riding keeps everything working, from the engine to the electrical system, and that steady use plays a major role in long-term reliability. Modern large displacement twin 1,084 cubic centimeters engine front and rear, disc brakes, 497-pound wet weight, 27.9-inch seat height, $9,599 price. a final machine remains, defined not by innovation, but by decades of proven endurance. Number 1. Honda Shadow 750. Time has a way of exposing everything a motorcycle is made of. Paint fades, trends shift, and new models come and go. But the machines that truly matter are the ones still running when all of that noise settles. This is one of those machines. It does not chase attention, and it does not need to. The reputation comes from years of quiet ownership, the kind where riders stop worrying about what might go wrong and start focusing on the road ahead. That kind of trust is not built in a single season. It is earned mile by mile. There is a simplicity in the way it operates that older riders tend to appreciate. Power arrives smoothly, never forced, and the entire machine feels settled instead of stressed. That balance is what keeps internal wear low and long-term reliability high, especially when compared to bikes that push harder for performance. Comfort also plays its part. A low seat, predictable handling, and a layout that feels natural make it easy to ride consistently. When a motorcycle stays in regular use, it stays healthy, and that steady rhythm becomes part of its longevity. Old-school, reliable cruiser, 745 cubic centimeters engine front and rear disc brakes, 553-pound wet weight, 25.6-inch seat height, $8,699 price. Machines come and go, but the ones that matter are the ones still running when everything else fades out. These cruisers earned that reputation mile by mile, not through hype, but through real ownership. If you have ridden one that refused to quit, share your experience below. Like the video if you value straight answers, and subscribe for more real-world breakdowns that actually help you ride smarter.